So far, we've mostly been using the Spanish verbs ser, estar, and hacer. We've also learned some conjugations of haber for using participles to put verbs in the past. And we've learned how to use quiero, quieres, and puedo to provide a little more interesting information when using infinitives. Today, we're going to start exploring a whole new verb, the Spanish verb ir, which means to go. For example, I want to go to the house would be quiero ir a the house. The participle of ir is ido. So for example, they have gone to the house. Han ido a the house. And then the gerund for going is yendo. So for example, we are going to the house. Estamos yendo a the house. So let's practice using these with a brief mini quiz. In each case, we'll either use the infinitive with puedo or quiero or quieres before it, or we'll use the participle with a conjugation of haber before it. Or we'll use the gerund with a conjugation of estar. I can go. Yo puedo ir. We have gone to the place. Hemos ido a the place. They are going to the house. Están yendo a the house. You want to go? I don't want to go. ¿Quieres ir? Yo no quiero ir. He has gone, but she hasn't gone. Él ha ido, pero ella no ha ido. Are you going to the place? ¿Tú estás yendo a the place? Okay, this is a lot of Spanglish, so let's go ahead and learn the noun for place, which is a masculine noun, lugar. There's just one complication with learning lugar. To say I can go to the place, you would think that it would look like this, a el lugar. But in Spanish, the words a and el blend together into a new word, al. This also happens with de el, or from the. In fact, this isn't optional. It's actually a rule, and it only happens with masculine nouns like this. Whenever you use a or de right before el, you have to use al or del. So let's practice this a couple of times. I want to go to the place. Quiero ir al lugar. They have gone from the place to the house. Han ido del lugar a the house. We are going to the place. Estamos yendo al lugar. Now let's go ahead and learn the 5 present tense conjugations of ir. Unfortunately, they're extremely irregular. So check this out. These words look nothing like the name of the verb ir. Why do they start with V? So one way to remember this is that the word voy, for I go, can remind you of the word voyage, which also has to do with going somewhere. And where can you go? You might go far, or va. That might be a bit of a stretch, but if you can remember voy and va, the rest of the words are then based on va, and they all have the endings that you'd expect. Vas, van for they go, and vamos for we go. So here are some examples. She goes to the place. Ella va al lugar. I'm going to the place. Voy al lugar. In that second example, I've done something odd. I've turned I am going into voy instead of estoy yendo. And that's because in Spanish, phrases like I am going, or she is doing, or we are having, these are just way less often used in Spanish. They're generally considered unnecessarily wordy. In fact, about half the time that you would use am doing or is going in English, you would simply use a simple conjugation in Spanish, such as does or goes. That's especially true if what we're doing is in the future. In this sentence, I'm saying that I'm going to the place someday in the future. In Spanish, you'll always instead say, I go to the place in the future. If all of that sounds too complicated, just remember that sometimes the ing word will simply get translated as a simple conjugation rather than a gerund in Spanish. I'm going could be estoy yendo, or it could simply be voy. They're going could be están yendo, but it's more likely just to be van. And if you think it's one and it ends up being the other on the quiz, don't worry, you're not necessarily wrong. It can really just be a matter of personal preference one way or the other. Let's do a mini quiz with these verbs before we learn a hack that you can do with ir in the next video. First, are you going? Tú vas? I go, but they don't go. Yo voy, pero ellos no van. In this one, assume a formal voice. You are going to the place? ¿Usted va al lugar? I'm not going. No voy. We're going. Vamos.